welcome to Magical Lifestyle of the Cottage Witch. So in today's video, I am going to be starting the prep for my home for Samhain. Now that looks a lot different than Halloween for me because I want to set up some central places and just give you some tips and show you a couple different things that I've already done to prepare my home for the Sabbath for Samhain. And that's a little different from Halloween. So I'm going to be setting up a cocktail bar area on my kitchen counter and refreshing my coffee bar area right next to it on the kitchen counter, because both of those areas actually have a lot to do with Samhain. I like to make witchy cocktails during this season, and I also love to make teas and coffee brews and things like that that have a fall flavor to it, or my version of a fall flavor to it. So I thought that was important. Also, I'm going to be showing myself taking some stock of my Apothecary cabinet, and I look forward to actually expanding that, but that's part of an entire kitchen cabinet organization that I'm ready to do. I just haven't gotten to it just yet. My Apothecary cabinet is growing, and I think I need to relegate it to a larger cabinet in my home instead of my more narrow one, but you'll see that. And I'm going to be picking out some choice herbs that I'll be using for most of this season. So I want to have them on hand and be able to have them on my altar, so they'll be coming out of the Apothecary cabinet, and I'll eventually get them onto my altar because I'll be making some things with those particular herbs. Also, and just stay tuned for some further tips and things like that as far as how to prepare your home for Samhain. Now let's set up my Witch's Brew Cocktail area. That's what I'm calling it. For Samhain, I like to focus on flavors that feel warm and cozy, and adding maybe a little touch of the desert-inspired magic of where I'm at. So let's talk about some of these bottles. I'm just clearing out the space because it's very cluttered. I sort of just been throwing things in that area, knowing I'm gonna set something up and not actually doing it. So that's what I'm doing right now. So we're gonna do some cleanup first. But those bottles, I actually fill them up with rum and with vodka, and I have some tequila that I'll eventually add, but it's unopened, so I think I'll wait until I actually open the bottle to add it to my empty canister there. But I got those at Target from the $5 spot. I thought it was a great deal, so I thoroughly cleaned them, and yeah, I feel really good about it. I love those bottles, so I'm actually using those for my cocktails, for my holding my liquors. So I did mark on the bottom, so in case I forget what's what, vodka, rum, tequila, so forth. So I think I'm pretty set, but yeah, I want to just clear this area, declutter. Decluttering is another part of just setting up in general for upcoming seasonal changes. I just want a space that is free of clutter as much as possible, especially right there. This is sort of when you first walk into the home, you turn, and that's the area that you would be seeing, and it tends to become a space where mail is left, things are just stored that shouldn't be there. So I'm spending the better portion of this video getting that cleared out and setting up a better system for the home. But yeah, I'm setting up my cocktail area, my Witch's Brew cocktail area, and my coffee bar area. So stay tuned and see how it turns out.
Remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I call for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, how long do I got to keep you, to keep you? Down in the deep of my mind, I call for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, trying so hard not to keep you, to keep you. How long do I got to keep you, to keep you? Trying so hard not to keep you, to keep you. Do you remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. Yeah. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I call for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, how long do I got to keep you, to keep you? Down in the deep of my mind, I call for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, trying so hard not to keep you, to keep you.
gathering a few key herbs from my apothecary for Samhain. So first up, I do have lavender. I like to use lavender pretty much all year round, but I definitely like to use it during this time of year as well. I typically use it for luck, for self-care. I love to use sage because it is in a way sort of connecting me to where I'm at. I live in a desert. I live in Phoenix, Arizona area. And then rosemary, I like to use that for protection, for remembrance. There's so many different ways of using rosemary. And mint when I want to sort of invigorate a potion or some oil as well, or just clear a path. And bay leaf for sure for my Samhain wishes when I do my Samhain ritual for the witch's new year. And mugwort is used throughout the month and as far as November as well, for psychic abilities and just connecting to the other side, specifically as we get closer to Samhain, so that I'm able to connect even better. And of course, make sure you have your mortar and pestle. When working with herbs and things like that, I have several, but this is my Halloween themed one. So check that out. Make sure you have that. And as I mentioned, I'm growing, I'm outgrowing this space, and it's, things are kind of behind or it's too tall and I can't reach it. So I'm looking to expand out of this particular cabinet and do a little organization so that I can use a larger cabinet for my space. So hopefully you got some helpful ideas and some tips, but I'm going to give you a little bit more as you go out. So I want to talk to those of us who are hearth witches, cottage witches, who don't live in a traditional 4-season type of climate where it's a little warmer where you are. So you may not be getting the benefit of all the fall vibes when you walk outside. For instance, for me, if I walk outside right now, it's over 100 degrees. So that changes everything. So how do you get that connection to autumn and the season that the rest of, maybe at least here in the United States, the rest of the country seems to be experiencing, and how I grew up in the Northeast. So a couple ways for me to just refocus my mind on how that works. So bringing in natural elements, sun bleached branches. I like to have a cactus, cacti, and natural greenery and things like that for plant life that will grow here in the desert. I like to have my altar set up with terracotta type, plates or, surfaces and things like that, so I can place like crystals on, or, figurines and things of that nature. I like to have things like that around because it connects me to where I live, and that brings in the desert inside of my home, so it's not all artificial, if that makes any sense. The other thing that I like to do is, as far as because it is so hot here and I want to embrace the warmth and all of that sort of stuff, but it's actually hot. So I like to create candles, maybe floating candles, so there's a water element. I like to use my sprays, which kind of is like a misting, cooling element as well. So even though it's a drier time for a lot of other people, I'm bringing in the moisture and water element into my home as a representative. It kind of represents like cooling things down a little bit. So those are my little touches for those of us who are in a hot climate at this time of year. I used to live in Florida, so I understand what it's like to not really have the fall vibes when you step outside. But inside my home is warm and cozy. You would think it's anywhere else, but it's actually very hot here. But I just wanted to add that as well for some of us who don't live in an environment, like I said, where you're getting that coolness in the air, that crispness that fall brings. I do miss that, not enough to move back because I know what happens after fall. It gets really cold and I don't do the cold anymore. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Let me know in the comments What decor, do you live someplace where maybe you don't experience traditional autumn or fall weather? What do you do? Do you make any concessions for that? Do you do something different with your decor and with your home to try to bring in the natural elements from where you live? I'm trying. I'm doing it. I've been living here for a handful of years now. So I'm getting the lay of the land and how to sort of add elements and things like that. But I'm sure the longer I live here, more to come. Thanks again. Have a beautiful Samhain to come. Enjoy this new season that we're in, and of decor and of just celebrating and connecting with spirit and ancestors. All right, bye.